Today, I'm going to cook a vegetable soup, and it will be a chunky vegetable soup. And you can put any kind of vegetables you like into this particular soup. By the way, sometimes you hear background noises. We are, after all, in Nicaragua, and the noise factor is always much more than anywhere else. When you're living in Central America, that's what happens. We also have dogs, 3 dogs or 4 dogs. So maybe you might see one of their tails walking through the video, but this is not directed by a Hollywood director, so I think we are fine. So, like I said before, you can use any kind of veggies. So I like to explain to you what we are going to do today. Here are some white beans, which I already pre-cooked, because otherwise it takes too long. Some black beans, some garbanzo beans. Also, all the beans are pre-cooked because it takes forever to cook them. Celery, carrots, which are diced, a little bit of onions, and here we have some diced potatoes. I have a little bit of olive oil where I saute these ingredients together, a little bit of butter, some little Italian herbs, some crushed pepper, some salt, and some white wine. And here I have a little bit of chicken stock. If you want to make it totally without any, totally vegetarian, what you can do is you just make yourself a little vegetable stock, or you buy some vegetable stock in the store. Right now I'm putting my pan on the oven, and I'm adding a little bit of olive oil to the pan. Make sure that when you're sauteing any kind of vegetable, that the pot is hot enough. Because the one thing you want to do is you want to seal the vegetable so not all the goodness is going to get out of it. Here I'm sauteing some onions. Some people also add some garlic to it. So it's up to the individual to add the garlic. I didn't do it because I just wanted to have a strictly light soup. Now I'm adding the celery, and I stir it again. And when you cook the soup, you have to make sure that you add the ingredients which take longer to cook first. So you don't want to put everything in one pot at one time, because then some of the vegetables are totally overcooked and the other ones are undercooked. So that's one thing you don't want to do. Now I'm adding the carrots. Some people add kohlrabi or yuca or leeks to the soup. It's up to you. You can always add vegetables which you like. That's the most important thing. Recipes are only there as a guideline. Then after this you are creative. Now I'm adding a little bit of Italian mixed herbs. The Italian mixed herbs are very versatile. I mean, you got everything in there from marjoram to thyme to oregano, everything else. And it's a nice mixture. Instead of having each different dried herb in your cabinet. Particularly every time when you have dried herbs and you open them up, sometimes they'll lose some of the flavor, particularly in a country where we're in, where there's lots of humidity. Now I'm adding some butter. People always say, oh, butter, you might get sick. It's a misconception. Now, if you eat every day a pound of butter, obviously you're going to get sick. But if you eat butter once in a while, you're going to be just fine. It is how much you eat of it and how many different foods you eat. So now you're seeing in the pot we have everything nicely sauteed, and you see it's really it looks pretty. It is nicely glazed. Now we're going to add a little bit of white wine. If you have white soups or clear white soups, you should always add white wine. Now there are national soups where you eat red wine, where you add red wine to it, but not in a particular vegetable soup. Now I'm doing a little bit of crushed pepper. I always like to crush my pepper in the last minute because it's just much more flavorful. Because ground pepper, if it's in a jar and it's open up, it definitely loses the flavor of and the punchiness of the pepper. Now, you see, it is simmering now in the pot. I'm adding a little bit of salt. I like to use sea salt. People say now in our days, you shouldn't use salt anymore and you should use other spices. I don't know about all this stuff. Here I'm adding some chicken stock, and like I said before, if you are a vegetarian, just get yourself, prepare yourself some vegetable stock, or you can go to the store. Most all the stores have vegetable stocks, and if they don't have vegetable stocks, they have little bouillon cubes or little cubes of vegetable stock which you can add to the soup. Now we're going to add our potatoes. The reason I'm adding the potatoes a little bit later, because they don't take more than 10-15 minutes to cook. If you're in Italy, for example, in the northern part, you could put rice to it, which takes about the same amount of time to cook. Or if you're in the southern part, you use a little bit of some elbow macaroni, small ones. Now we will add the cabbage. Cabbage only takes a few minutes to cook, because the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to overcook the cabbage. If it's a little bit of crunchy, I think it's much, much better. And you don't cook out all the vitamins and stuff like this which is in there. This particular soup is actually very healthy, because you will see in a little bit I will add all the different beans, and beans are very good for your health. So everything you're seeing, which I'm preparing here right now, is very, very, very healthy. And I always feel that the most important things for your diet is your vegetables and your salads and your fruits. Meat is good, and you should eat some meat, but don't eat it every single day. People say in the United States, which is the most obese country in the world, well, if you go ahead and eat hamburgers and fried chicken every day, you will get fat, and you will get sick, and you die early. I believe in a good diet which has a little bit of everything. But like I said just a minute ago, vegetables, fruits, and salads are number one. Now I'm adding the beans. I pre-cooked the beans. Here's the garbanzo beans. I pre-cooked them because it takes forever to cook them. Here is some black beans, which are delicious. And now I'm going to add the tomatoes. All right. Now, when you see this soup, like I said before, if you add the macaronis to it or the rice to it, you almost have a minestrone. Is there a minestrone in the world will be the same? No. Because if you're in Italy, and I spent a lot of time in Italy, almost every damn town and every household has a different minestrone. And the men will be totally, whatever their mother's minestrone is the minestrone they think is the minestrone of the country, which is really not true. But you see this beautiful color of the soup. It is healthy. Now we're going to ladle it out into a bowl, and it's ready to eat. And it is great to eat with a nice crunchy French bread or a sourdough bread. You can either add some butter to the bread or you dip it into olive oil. Here we go, and I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching, and check us out on www.chefsjourney.com.